Today we'll be going through the events of a 2018 American computer-animated superhero film, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, directed by Peter Ramsey, Bob Persichetti, and Rodney Rothman. This video contains spoilers, so watch at your own risk. Now let's get right into the movie. The movie begins with Peter Parker telling how he was bit by a radioactive spider, became the only Spider-Man to ever exist, and has been protecting the city for the past 10 years. Miles Morales gets late for school and his police father drives him there in the cop car. Miles says he wants to go back to his old school, but his father says no and sends him on his way. At the school, Miles struggles to keep up and gets late to one of his classes. There, he meets a girl named Gwanda. Then he gets a 0 in one of the tests and the teacher figures out that Miles is trying to fail on purpose, so she gives him the assignment to write an essay about himself. Later that day, he visits his Uncle Aaron. They go to an abandoned subway station to paint graffiti. There, Miles is bitten by a radioactive spider. The next day, Miles finds out that his pants have shrunk and he thinks he's going through puberty. He also realizes that the voice in his head is really loud. When he meets Gwanda, his hand gets stuck to her hair and Wanda has to chop off that section of her hair. Later, Miles realizes that he's sticking to everything while running away from the security guard for sneaking out last night. Then he gets to his room and finds a Spider-Man comic book that describes the real life of Peter Parker. He then realizes he has the same abilities as Spider-Man. That night, he goes back to the subway station to find out whether the spider that bit him was really radioactive. There, he sees Spider-Man fighting Green Goblin and telling him that he can't let them open a portal to another dimension in Brooklyn. He meets Spider-Man, who senses that Miles is just like him, and tells Miles that he'll help him. He then tells Miles that he must destroy the space-time continuum before it collapses. Spider-Man fights Green Goblin and Prowler while trying to disable the collider. Green Goblin shoves Spider-Man into the collider, causing an explosion that kills Green Goblin and seriously injures Spider-Man. He tells Miles that if the collider isn't destroyed, everything and everyone he knows will disappear. He then gives Miles a flash drive and makes him promise that he will destroy the collider. Miles watches in horror as Kingpin kills Spider-Man and flees from Prowler. He then goes back to his parents' house and asks if he could sleep there. He asks his father if he really hates Spider-Man, and he says yes. His mother tells him that they don't run from things. As the news of Spider-Man's death spreads, the city mourns. Meanwhile, Miles tries to learn and honor his newfound abilities. While trying that, he destroys the flash drive. He visits Peter Parker's grave where he meets a guy named Peter B. Parker who was also Spider-Man, but older from a different dimension. Miles discovers that he can emit a bioelectric venom that he accidentally uses on Peter, causing him to faint. Miles is then stopped by the NYPD but decides to run away. He then captures Peter B. Parker and tries to ask him some questions where he figures out that Peter came here when the collider started, but Peter isn't interested and goes away. Peter glitches and says that his atoms are probably not adjusted to this dimension on the way out. He then tells Miles to go back to being a normal kid. Miles tells him about the collider and Peter decides that when it runs again, he'll jump in it and get back to his original world. Peter then takes Miles' broken flash drive. Peter reluctantly agrees to teach Miles in exchange for help stealing data for a new drive. They decide to infiltrate Kingpin's laboratory where Miles discovers he has the ability to turn invisible. Peter then meets the head scientist, Olivia Octavius, while Miles turns invisible and tries to find the data for the flash drive. Octavius tells Peter that he's undergoing cellular decay and will likely die soon. She then attacks Peter while Miles runs away with the CPU. A group of scientists attack them and Miles is about to get caught, but he learns to swing and escapes. Meanwhile, Peter glitches, causing him to drop the CPU, and both are about to fall when they are saved by Gwanda, who reintroduces herself as Gwen Stacy, a Spider-Woman from another dimension. She then tells the story of how she was also bitten by a radioactive spider, was pulled into this dimension, and her Spidey sense told her to go to Miles' school. Miles wonders how many more Spider-Men there are. In his office, Kingpin watches a slideshow of his wife and son and recalls when he was fighting Spider-Man. In the past, his wife and son saw him, got scared, fled in a car and died in a car crash. He blames Spider-Man for their death and is determined to get them back using the collider. Octavius tells Kingpin that there are 3 other Spider-Men, which means that her collider works and Kingpin will have his family back. Miles, Peter, and Gwen meet Aunt May, who takes them to a secret lair that holds all the high-tech stuff that the original Peter owned. They then meet the other spider people whom Aunt May had given shelter. They meet Spider-Man Noir, Penny Parker, and Spider-Ham, who were also deteriorating. They all tell the same story, being bit by a radioactive spider and then being transported here because of the collider. Miles says that he will turn off the collider, so they test him, but he fails. Distraught, Miles goes to Aaron's house, discovering that Aaron is Prowler. Meanwhile, at Aunt May's, Penny remakes the flash drive. Miles arrives there and realizes he was followed when Octavius comes there too. Soon, Tombstone and Scorpion arrive and a fight ensues. Miles gets a hold of the flash drive and is chased by Prowler. Unable to kill his nephew, Aaron lets Miles get away and gets shot. Miles grabs Aaron and runs away from the fight scene. While they're talking, Jefferson, Miles' father, arrives there and sees his dead brother, making him believe that Spider-Man killed him. Miles goes back to his dorm, enraged and sad. Soon, the other Spidey people reach his room and console him. Peter tells him that they're going to destroy the collider, and Miles is not going to come with them because he's not ready. Miles argues, so Peter gives him another chance to prove himself, but Miles fails again. Miles asks Peter when he'll know if he's ready, and Peter says he never will, that it's a leap of faith. Peter leaves Miles tied to a chair with the webs. Miles' father comes to visit and tells Miles he knows that Miles can do anything, says "I love you," and goes away. Miles tries to use his electric shock and successfully uses it on command. He then tries to turn invisible and is successful in that too, so he frees himself and goes out to Aunt May's. He gets a suit from her, paints it black, practices, and soon becomes confident in his ability to use the webs and his personal superpowers. Meanwhile, the other Spidey people sneak into Kingpin's party, which he hosted to honor Spider-Man. Downstairs, Olivia was getting ready to start the collider. The spiders reach there, but Octavius knows they're coming and another battle ensues. Octavius captures Peter and is about to kill him when Miles attacks her in his invisible form. The collider progresses. Penny is about to be killed by Scorpion when Spider-Ham defeats him. Miles takes the flash drive from Peter and goes to shut down the collider. He opens portals one by one for each of them. They all get emotional, say their goodbyes, and head on their way. Everyone leaves except Peter when Kingpin attacks. Peter says he'll fight him and asks Miles to stop the collider, but Miles denies it. He says his goodbyes to Peter and throws him into the portal, then fights Kingpin. Kingpin traps Miles and is about to kill him when he sees visions of his wife and son scared of him again. Miles escapes, but is again attacked by Kingpin. During the fight, Jefferson reaches there and sees Spider-Man fighting Kingpin. He cheers on Miles, who then gets the strength to get up again. He then shocks Kingpin and throws him, because of which he lands on the button that stops the collider. Kingpin, Tombstone, and the others get arrested. Jefferson gains his respect for Spider-Man and realizes that it was Kingpin who killed Aaron. Miles then comes in his suit, says that he's looking forward to working with the NYPD, and leaves. Gwen finds a way to contact Miles through the other dimension while Peter tries to fix his relationship with MJ. That was my recap of the movie. Hope you enjoyed it. Now comment on what your favorite part was and make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.